talk to you guys about something that's, I guarantee people who turn this podcast on want to listen to our opinion on it, what we thought. Because I kidnapped the motherfucker and put him in the trunk of a car, but my face never made it to the cover of a newspaper. And when I was in New York Saturday, and I walked around there, and I saw every fucking newspaper with Louis CK's picture on it, it fucking hit home. Like, it didn't hit home for me. I just said to myself, Jesus Christ, I put somebody in the trunk of the car, and I made it to page like 8. It was just a little blurb under the fucking car dealer ad, you know?
It's different. It's a different time. And Louis, like, was at the top of the pyramid, you know what I mean?
I mean, all these allegations every fucking day. You get a new allegation. And you know what, man? The thing that bothers a guy like me is people could allege shit every fucking day. But in today's world, it ruins your career. You know, when somebody comes to me and says, Lee took their dick out, or Lee, I'm going to check it out before I open my mouth. I mean, I'm going to fucking check it out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. But Louis admitted he got accused again today.
Yeah.
And, what do you call it? Who else got accused today? Did you say Richard Dreyfuss? Who?
It wasn't today, but the guy from Star Trek.
Yeah, George Takei. And also Dustin Hoffman, too.
That's fucking crazy, George Takei.
But
now, what's the situation in George Takei's?
It's like a male model or something.
I guess there's something that maybe...
Now, you got to remember something. Remember when that movie Liberace came on HBO?
Yeah.
I went somewhere. Like, that movie really fucked with me a little bit because I really knew the truth. I looked at it for what it was. You know, Liberace, first of all, for people who... I don't want you to look at this time in Hollywood as, oh my God, what's going on in Hollywood? Listen, they passed Marilyn Monroe around like a fucking dummy doll, okay? And many others of those women they passed around. They just passed around Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was the biggest disgrace in American history. She was fucking the president, a gangster, and God knows who else along the way. God knows who else along the way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, Sinatra, what do you think he did to women? He told that one lady to get a hanger when she was pregnant.
That's crazy.
He threw her out of the house and said, go get a fucking hanger.
Yeah.
I didn't get you pregnant. You know, statements like that, shit like that, you know. I believe in fucking, you know, I've always been on the other side of the coin. And sometimes it's been me. And sometimes you're accused just for being who you are.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and that's what... Then there's another tactic to this that bothers me. That really fucking bothers me. Because people in this room will attest to this. We change every 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Our views change. We get smarter. We get wiser. You know, you don't do the dumb shit you used to do. Lee, you're a nice kid. Are you a different person than you were 5 years ago?
100%.
In which way? In which ways are you a better person now than you were 5 years ago?
I just think when you're, at least for me, you're in such a bubble in high school and college that you don't really realize. There's a difference between being polite and acting like a good person. And there's still some things that I could do better. I'm not going to lie. But I think that you learn through just dealing with people how to act. And you see how other people act. And you're like, oh, I didn't like when someone did that.
But you still... Here's the thing. You can change. But if you did something 10, 15, 20 years ago, there still can be consequences for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand that people change, but that can't completely exonerate you for things that you might have done in your past that people just weren't brave enough to say anything about.
Look at this judge right now who's something like 70, and they're saying 40 years ago he dated kids in high school. And even in the article, if you read the article, it said like the mom told the daughter, "Oh, I think you're the luckiest girl in the world to date Roy Moore," and she was 14. So I can
Yeah.
He might argue, and the thing is, he's denying it, But he might argue like, listen, it wasn't that big of a deal back then, or I don't know, maybe it was. I don't know with that one, but I think you're right. I think if you,
I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that you can't change. Everybody changes.
but it
I'm
doesn't
just
take
saying,
away what you've done.
yeah, just because you change, because whatever you did, if you did it, whatever you did, changed somebody else for the worse.
Right, and
So there has to be some sort of repercussion for that, no matter how long ago it was. Like if you did something to somebody that changed their life for the worse, that fucked them up, and continues to do that, then no matter how long it is, you still got to pay for that shit.
right, and that was what I took away from the Louis thing so far, is like he even said in his apology, whatever you think of it, he didn't realize from their point of view, and I think that's kind of hard to do, is take the other person's point of view. And I like even with him when he says, "Oh, I never touched anybody who I always asked," it's still terrible to imagine being 21 and you don't want to say no. Mm-hmm. You're just out here. All you want to do is get at a job. You don't know if you're gonna get fired for saying no. So it must be scary.
Yeah, I'm sure it's really scary, and that's why I'm not saying that. Like, I understand why some people wouldn't come out. I understand why it takes people a long time to come out. Listen, are you 100%? I've been propositioned by men and women. Like it for sure happens, for sure, and it's terrible. And I think that the more that people come out, I think it'll just scare the fuck out of people into not, because there was no repercussions before. Nobody was saying shit.
But on the other side of that coin, and both of you are married, but maybe you have single friends. I don't know. In this day and age, if you were going to date somebody now in the industry, would you have them sign something? Would you have them, like, if you were going to hook up with a girl on the road, would you have them sign? Like, it just, that terrifies me.
I don't know what you mean.
Like just to be like, yeah, like this is legit. Like I'm not forcing you into this. Or like, just I don't know.
I'm in shock about the whole thing. I'm in shock about, allegations bother the fuck out of me. I want proof.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a proof
I'm
school.
I'm with you.
It's you and I in a room. I mean, the Louis thing happened in 2002. Who knew where his sickness was? Listen, you just don't stand in front of a door, take your shirt and your pants off, and take your dick out and bang it out in front of them.
By the way, that sounds terrible.
And that's two women in a room, two witnesses.
Oof, yeah.
The sickness was at the highest level of all time. What was he thinking was going to happen? I mean, my heart goes out to him. I'm not saying nothing bad about Louis. What I'm saying is I'm looking at it from that perspective. It came out a little bit after that, and there was more allegations.
Mm-hmm.
He jerked off on the phone with people, which I've done 1,000 times myself. You know what I'm saying? Some girl calls you, she tells you she's going to go in the shower, and you tell her, really, whatever. Next thing you know, you got your dick in your hand, and you're breathing heavy for 2 minutes. Who the fuck knows? I mean, all these things, we all do them, and they're simple, and we don't think we're doing something. But it did create consequences. The women, how they feel and all that shit. I'm not going into the politics of all that. I'm just going into the politics, how this ends you, and how you have to bounce back in a certain way.
Well, I don't think it should have to end him, though. That's the thing.
Well, you said if he does a show at the Comedy Store tomorrow night, he'll sell it.
If they said Louis is going to be in the main room tomorrow, would he sell all the tickets? He would sell all the tickets. Of course he would.
And tell his side of the story.
Whatever.
See, this is what I would do. I would wait 6 months.
Yeah.
And those 6 months write something and go on Broadway and tell my side of the story in the fucking off Broadway theater.
What I mean is I think this is a fucking catastrophic thing for sure, and I can't imagine what he's going through. But
his kids.
But he also put other people through shit. So.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Louis CK. He's back, and he performed at the Comedy Cellar, and he came up on stage. Did you hear about this?
Yes, I did.
And I guess he got up to some applause. There was a little ovation. People were happy to see him. He had the first time on stage since the whole controversy came out. And how do you feel about it?
First of all, number one, my relationship with Louis was always good. He always batted for me. He got me 2 jobs. Number 2, I'm very sorry to whoever he offended by taking his dick out or speaking to them in an untimely manner. Number 3, I went to prison, and I appreciate that I was judged by a jury of my peers. They presented evidence, and the evidence fell apart on me, and I went the other way, and I did my time, and now I'm out. I appreciate movements, and I have daughters, and I want them to grow up to never have to go through a lot of women put themselves through. This is a disgusting town. This is a disgusting town in every level of it. We both know it. We've both seen disgust in this town. So what Louis did was a mistake. I appreciate he went away. I'm sure the girls are happy with what they did. But that's it. He's forgiven in my world. He's forgiven. It's not like he put pills in somebody's drinks. It's not like he went out raping people. It's nothing like that. He was in a bad place at a bad time, and his head was in a bad place. And we can't judge people for what they did 11 years ago. You're a different person than you were 10 years ago, and I'm a way a different person than what I was 10 years ago. If you're going to come out and say that in 1998 we were doing a comedy show and I grabbed your tit, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. You know, we're comedians, and shit's going to happen. I know that Louis did some things that weren't the best things in the world, but, you know, what were you doing in that fucking room up there? You know, we were 2 girls, and we felt encouraged, and, you know, I think a lot of people turned on Louis that didn't have to turn on Louis, but that's the world we live in. You know, I watched 1,000 people cheer on Joe Rogan as he threw Carlos Mencia out of the store. And a week later, they were going to have a protest to let Joe back in the store. And Mitzi said, whoever walks out never get a spot here. And there was no protest. Where were all those 1,000 people that were yelling for Joe?
Right.
That's what this town is about.
Right.
So
you feel like Louis did his penance. He was exiled. He was shamed.
he was shamed. He did his penance. Now it's time to go back to work. You know, I know creepier people than Louis. I know people that have done worse things than fucking Louis.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Louis feels terrible enough. He has children. He had to go through that pain in front of his children. But, you know, look at the other side of it. Look at this Sargento bitch last week. That
this is the woman who...
Me too'd. But now she's covering up a 17-year-old that she fucked. Shame on him, too, for ratting her out. You little fucking fag.
Yeah.
A 17-year-old dirty Italian chick with that greasy mozzarella pussy and tattoos gives you a piece of ass and you rat her out. Yes, you could tell the kid was 16 or whatever the fuck he was.
Yeah.
You could tell the thing was wrong. But that's the society we live in.
Yeah.
You know, I get coke put in my wallet, and now Harvey did it. Really?
Right.
Harvey put cocaine in your wallet,
Right.
Roseanne McGowan?
Yeah.
You just have PTSD from all the dick you sucked the 20 years you were here in town.
Jeez.
Because you and I both seen women get passed around this town. I can name 10 women that have been passed around this town. Let's start with, I went to go Chibo last week. I had a meeting in town at like 5, and I didn't want to drive over the hill. So I went to Chibo. You ever go there in Hollywood? Nice spaghetti bowl. They had like this marinara, no meat. And the guy was telling me, you know, they're tearing down Nerd Melt, and they're tearing down everything. And he goes, that flower shop across the street, you know what that flower shop is famous for?
What?
Because that's where Sam Giancana, John F. Kennedy, and Joe DiMaggio sent flowers to Marilyn Monroe. That's where she liked her flowers from.
Really?
That corner on Sierra Bonita.
On Sunset.
Sierra Bonita was where Nick DiPaolo and Mitch Hedberg lived in that building.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and they were neighbors next door. And Nick didn't like Mitch because Mitch would play the guitar. So Nick would bang on the wall, shut that shit down. But on that corner, who was more sexually abused woman? than fucking Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
Who got her pussy beat up by Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that's just the shit we know about.
Right.
They were passing her around. She was giving messages to the Kennedys through Giancana. She was fucking Peter Lawford. They all got a piece of her.
Right.
You know, that's our society here.
Yeah.
That's what this society
And in
here
the
is
end,
all about.
she was alone,
And
on
in the
drugs,
end,
nobody
yeah.
taking care of her.
And
I
killed
think
her.
somebody killed her. There's
They
no
killed her.
doubt.
Somebody went in there and gave her a lethal dose to shut her fucking mouth.
That's right.
She knew too much. They had talked too much in front of her.
Right.
This town was, you ever go to the Delaware?
No.
Nothing against it. That's where boredom was invented. When the first person said, "Whew, I'm bored," it was in Delaware.
Right.
What do you think sexual harassment invented? It was here. Look at 1980, the Eagles album, The Long Run. They have a whole song in there called "The King of Hollywood." Put it on the way home.
Yeah.
Look who they're talking about. They could be talking about fucking Harvey Weinstein. They're talking about Cary Grant.
Hey, what does Delaware have to do with that?
I've just made a point that Delaware was when boredom was invented.
Yeah.
Sexual harassment and suck my dick.
Oh, got it.
Suck my dick and you'll get this movie.
Yeah.
This is
The casting couch. I mean, what's crazy is we had these tropes about the casting couch. Everybody made jokes about the casting couch. It was the casting couch. Now that was a place where women were subjugated, they were objectified, they were used, and it was so part of the system that women accepted it. And it's the same thing with priests and altar boy jokes that went on for fucking 50 years. Why was that a fucking joke? Why are we kidding about pedophilia that's institutionalized and not penalized, and no civic cases because the churches won't produce the evidence because the whole thing is written into society?
Dog, they just pick them up and send them into another parish to fuck other little boys.
Right.
I mean, just that part alone makes you want to go blow up a church.
Right.
But
and they're not paying taxes.
And then that's not the church God wanted.
Right.
And it's like everything else in this life, what it's become. I think there's something to get the Pope rid of the Pope and whatever.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they're calling for the Pope to step down because he covered up for a cardinal or some shit.
Well, he had a chance in Ireland to speak to it, and he didn't. He came up short. You know, he said, we feel bad, we apologize, but where's the change in policy within the church that says if you are accused of a sexual crime against a child, the church is going to hand over all documents related to that case and the moving of that priest, all of it. Give it to the authorities and let it be prosecuted on the outside. We don't trust you to take care of it on the inside any longer. And they're not doing that.
They're not doing that. You're not doing it.